Hi everyone, welcome to Coffeenated, Daily Garden's podcast in partnership with Ubra Shared Space and Cafe Lounge. I'm your host, Elcid Fernandez. Daily Garden has access to some of the most inspiring and compelling individuals, from entrepreneurs who have found success through pursuing their passions to individuals who sacrifice their own interests in pursuit of causes greater than themselves. In this podcast, we will take a deeper look into how these individuals think, what habits they have formed, and how their experiences have influenced their ideas that now guide their actions. All of this over a cup of coffee. For this first episode, my guest is Jules Guiang, a TV host, a youth leader, and an entrepreneur. He hosts Bagong Pilipinas, PTV4's daily morning show, Tayo Na, a public affairs show for DILG, and another show for the Department of Finance that's coming soon. He is the chairperson of 2030 Youth Force Asia Pacific, which is part of the Daily Garden Initiative. And he is the founder and board chairman emeritus of the National Alliance of Youth Leaders Incorporated. He is also a member of the United Nations Youth Advisory Board Philippines. Finally, he recently opened Hatch Hub, a co-working space in Maginhawa, QC. He is also my brother in the Alpha Phi Beta fraternity. All of these things he uses as his platforms to advocate for the sustainable development goals. So welcome, Jules.
Hi, Alcid. Hi, everyone, to all listening. Thank you for having me here.
So welcome to Iloilo. How are you finding it so far?
It's a very beautiful city. Actually, it's not my first time here. I've been here several times when I was a student in college for some events. General assemblies of student councils in UP. So usually, we used to gather in UP Miagao.
Okay. So you were also USC chairperson of UP before?
I was chairperson of the student council in UP NCPAG in 2011. I started my student council life when I was only second year college. And then we leveled up to University Student Council as USC councilor and then USC vice chairperson. I was supposed to run for chair, but I had to graduate. So, I had the chance to enroll again for that position, but I had to move on.
You had to grow up.
Yeah, I had to grow up.
So, Youth Force Philippines 2030, how did that start?
It started in 2016. So, the UN headquarters in Bangkok, they gathered 17 youth leaders from several countries in the Asia Pacific. So, I represented the Philippines through National Youth Commission. Then we went there in Bangkok for a 3-day workshop. Supposedly for SDG 16. That's Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. It's part of the SDGs. By the way, the SDGs, it's a set of global goals, basically to transform the world by 2030. So, going back to the meeting, the main output was to create a network of youth leaders that will help the UN mainstream the SDGs for the youth sector, which is about 700 million in the Asia Pacific.
And now your goal with it is, what are you doing with it now?
Well, 3 years after, we have established a very strong NGO here in the Philippines, the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines Incorporated. We have more than 3,400 member advocates. Outside the Philippines, we're active in Cambodia, in China, India, Indonesia, Nepal, and Vietnam. And currently, as chairperson of the Regional Council, my personal goal is to establish at least 4 national chapters in Asia Pacific. So, a few days ago, or yesterday, or this is timeless. So, a few days ago, I was in Malaysia for an SDG talk. And then I engaged with several leaders to, if they're interested to create the youth force in Malaysia.
So, for the SDGs alone, you travel all over the Asia Pacific?
Yeah, at least for this year, for 2019 to 2022. Kasi yun yung term ko. But before, when I was convener of the Philippines, yeah, we had to create partnerships with the private sector, public sector, to engage with the LGUs and create SDG events and campaigns. So yeah, that's what we do. We go to the grassroots and then we engage on the national level as well. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
But why is it important for you to fight for SDGs? What pushes you to do that?
Well, for one, I see this as a personal responsibility, especially as an alumnus of UP. It's part of giving back to society. Number two, as a global citizen, it's also a duty to, to lead an endeavor that could benefit the common good, right? And why SDGs? Because personally, I like goals. Uh, it attracted me, beyond the icons, the colorful icons. The SDGs are very compelling. To be honest, when the SDGs were introduced in 2016, I thought it's just the same banana with the MDGs. The MDGs failed. Out of the 8 goals, only 4 goals were
MDGs were
the Millennium Development Goals. So it's from 2000 to 2015. The extreme poverty, as per data, it was it was half by 2015, but the rest of the goals weren't met. So I thought it will be the same thing with the SDGs. But the main difference with the MDGs and the MDGs were, the approach was not inclusive. It was set by technical people only. While for the SDGs, it was more inclusive when it was formed. It was represented by all countries of the UN. And right now, the approach is to include all sectors.
And now you're trying to push the youth.
Yes.
So what's important about the youth first?
Well, by 2030, it's very simple. You just need to compute by 2030 what will be your age. And what I usually say to the youth is, in 10 years, you should imagine what will be your role in society by 2030. Like for my end, I'm 28 years old, so I'll be 30 plus. And I'd like to believe that I'll be having a crucial role already in society. So as early as now, when we're engaging the youth, we always say you need to assert your role as early as now. So in 10 years, after 10 years, by 2030, we are more prepared with all the changes, and hopefully we could really collectively achieve the 2030 goals.
And there's a disconnect right now between the younger generation and the older generation.
It's true.
Recently, there's a meme that's come out. It's OK Boomer.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
So what do you think about this generational battle as to the older generation belittling the younger generation, and then the younger generation now thinking that the older generation have just been destroying the earth and destroying their future?
Well, number one, I think people should be more knowledgeable about these generations. The labels.
Yes.
Kasi like, for example, millennials, it's been very, the term is abused already.
We're called snowflakes na nga.
Yeah, I mean for millennials, they consider all young people millennials, which is not. Well, as per Western literature, it's not. Yun din naman yung sinusunod natin, di ba? So they say it's not. Millennials is from 1984 to 2000. To 94. Something like that. And then after 95 below, Gen Z. Okay, so I think the generation gap right now, lalo na yung mga memes, it shows the difference of backgrounds of experiences, which is okay kasi yun naman talaga yung pinaka-point. The only thing is, siguro, how will these generations contribute to the current problems of society? Kasi I think it wouldn't be helpful and productive if these generations will just criticize each other. Diba? They have their own merits and weaknesses din naman. Like for the boomers, kunwari, in the context of social media, I read something that the boomer generation or the Gen X.
No.
The boomers and the Gen X, it's different generation pala. They have the tendency to share fake news.
Yes.
Compared to the millennials and the Gen Z.
Because we're more discerning when it comes to social media.
Yes. Unlike for boomers and Gen X, kung ano makita nila sa caption or the headlines on the link, they share it immediately without clicking it. So yun yung mga difference. Siguro the Gen Z and millennials could be more helpful if they will engage in not only call out names.
Yeah, okay. But have you ever felt like you were being belittled or treated unfairly by someone older than you? Because you work with a lot of government officials, right? But you're relatively young. So have you ever felt like...
When I was younger, yes. I felt it so many times, especially in the industry. I started when I was just third year college in PTV4. And now it's my 7th year. Pero along the way, I had so many experiences na you're just young and
you have to stop and listen before
I've been very vocal since UP days. Tapos, I had a switch with my identity from being an activist to being a reporter and a TV host in a government channel, diba? So I had to embrace everything about our principal, who is the president. During that time, Pinoy, and then right now, Duterte. So it's really hard. But what I usually say is, I'm not here to serve the president or a specific personality. I'm here to serve the people because the people basically your taxes, and we're doing this for you. Ayun, throughout the years, so many people, many elderly, not elderly, mga people, veterans saying na you need to learn more. Before, parang it's an attack to my ego kasi I felt na I was pretty confident with myself na I can do this, I can do that. Pero along the way, parang there's wisdom also with what they're saying. Na nga naman, parang I need to experience more, but I was just too excited before and too confident with myself. And maybe this is also a reminder to all fresh grads out there. And
you don't know everything.
Yeah. Especially those who are graduating kasi parang they feel it's a peak of their career already. Not yet. Kasi once you graduate, once you go to the workplace, you start from zero. Diba? You don't boast your credentials in college anymore. I mean, it's an edge, but usually start from scratch and you need to learn the basics, the dynamics in your workforce.
Which is interesting for me now because you wear a lot of hats, right? You're a TV host, for a governmental channel, but you're also a youth activist at the same time.
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile those two concepts? Because you'd be criticizing your principal majority of the time.
Yeah. Along the way, I learned to play the game. Before, usually what I do is I provide disclaimers in my social media accounts na these opinions are just mine and it doesn't reflect my network. But recently, I think there were 3 incidents na muntikan na ako matanggal, ma-fire because of my tweets and my posts. And I usually argued na these are my opinions. Diba? There's a disclaimer naman. Pero our head of the network, we had a very good conversation actually. She's like a mother in the network. She's a new GM. And she told me that you have, ang TV host daw, mas may ibang pamantayan kasi you're a public figure. So, mas mabigat yung burden on our part. Mas iba yung, yung expectations and responsibilities. So, kahit nasabihin mo pa na your opinions do not represent the position of the network, yun pa rin yung iisipin ng tao eh. So, sabi sa akin, I mean, you have other initiatives, you have other groups. You can let your groups say what you want to say. Or you can create other accounts to say what you want to say. So, na-realize ko na, naman, na siguro I just need to play the game or I just need to be very wise with what I need to say on air. Kasi to be fair naman sa akin, hindi ko naman ginagamit yung position ko as TV host to share my position. Usually, naka-angkla naman siya dun sa position ng government. Pero, off-air, dun ko ginagamit. In my talks, sa mga schools, dun ako bumabawi.
But like, being part of the media, it's like, we're both part of the media, right?
Yes.
So, we're in unique positions in that we have access to pretty much all sectors of society. So, like, you deal with government officials, private corporations, schools, youth. What are the insights that you've had with regard to how you wear different hats, how you deal with them separately? Do you change your personality per group? Is it it's like when you deal with them, there are certain expectations of you with the hat that you wear. So how do you juggle all of this now?
Well, for one, my perspective is with governance. Ang usual perspective kasi na tao on governance is only the government doing their thing. But governance entails responsibilities and duties of all sectors, specifically the three sectors you said, private sector, government sector, and civil society. So, tong tatlong sectors na to, meron silang ambag dapat ng governance. So, what I do as part of the media, di ba yung question mo? Kasi parang it's considered as a sector as well, like a watchdog. Kung titingnan nila kung ano yung mga mali or ano yung mga kulang sa bawat sector na to. So, when I engage with them, it's pretty complex and complicated kasi I'm part of the government, I'm part of civil society as well. Tapos private sector din kasi may business na rin ako. So, ang okay from my part, as part of the media, alam ko yung perspective na pinanggagalingan nila. Like, ang private have their own biases and their bias is for their service or their product to earn. Government naman, their bias usually is for their principal, which is unfair siguro na ma-generalize na gano'n. With the civil society naman, yung biases nila with their advocacies. So, alam ko yung pinanguhugutan nila usually. So, as a media person, and coming from these three sectors, I know the right questions to ask kasi I know their backgrounds. Siguro, ang way forward ko usually, nung recent lang ako pumasok sa private sector through my initiative dun sa co-working space, mas na-gets ko yung pinanggagalingan ng private sector, specifically on the issue of labor rights. Kasi, di ba, as activists naman, parang it's easy to demand for employers to like provide their basic needs. I mean, kailangan naman lahat dun eh. Pero you also, wage. Pero you also need pala to realize din na meron ding limitations yung employers, lalo na for not so big companies na, nga naman, kung dinemand mo lahat to, lahat ng mga in-expect mo na living wage, hindi nga lang minimum wage, mahirapan din sila to the point na pwede silang mag-close. So, may mga points na mga ganun na kailangan din malaman.
We're going to talk about your co-working space a little later, but going back to YFPH 2030, there are other youth groups that have sprouted for the SDGs. So, YFPH seems like it's much bigger than the others. Like, there have been some that have performed events here in Iloilo. So, what separates YFPH from the rest of the 2030 SDG youth groups?
On that point, I think I see it as a very good opportunity for the SDG movement as a whole here in the Philippines that I think most organizations are aligning their efforts already for the SDGs because way back in 2016, hindi siya ganun ka-popular eh. So I'm personally happy na aligned na sila. So I even consider it as an accomplishment from our end also na at least, di ba, organizations right now are more vocal about the SDGs. Pero our main edge, siguro we go beyond projects. Kasi yun naman important eh. Kasi usually when you do project, it's a time bound eh, di ba? Yun lang yun eh.
It's one thing.
Yeah, you do an event and then that's it. What we do, it's a movement. It's a campaign. So, events are just it's a jump start for the SDG life of our member advocates. So, yun, it's a habit eh. Kasi advocacy or activism, it's a way of life. You need to consider it as a habit in your daily lives. So, hindi lang siya surface level na I show myself here as an activist and then that's it. Kailangan ingrained siya whether you're in front of a camera or not.
And you are a youth activist, you are a TV host, you are an entrepreneur at the same time. Not only are you youth activist with the 2030 YFPH, you also have Nile, which you also founded. And if I recall correctly, the way you spread the SDGs initially in the Philippines was through a Facebook post, right?
Yes.
So you started YFPH through that.
Yes.
How does that? Can you tell us about the story?
Actually, it was an output of It was a delayed output eh. Kasi the meeting in Bangkok was June 2016. Then I had that post September.
Okay.
So wala naman, I mean, they weren't asking.
So it was cramming na.
I was cramming na. Kasi personally, I was doubtful na the youth here in the Philippines will accept the SDGs. Pero apparently, through that post, I mean, in 1 hour, 200 plus people showed their interest. Sabi ko, okay, meron palang traction yung SDGs. So that night, we created a Facebook group. Tapos noon, I was asking them, ano gusto nyo way forward dito? Do you want to create an organization? Gusto nyo ba formal organization? Tapos sabi nila, they wanted a formal organization. So, I had to run an application for our national council. I had to read their essays, everything. And then we formed the national council. And then through that national council, a month after, we looked for 17 SDG ambassadors. We looked for 17 regional representatives. So all in all, the national core is about 40 people. Yung may main core. So we started with that team. Then right now, almost 4,000.
That makes it even more interesting, right? Because it started on Facebook.
Yes.
And all of your correspondence was also through Facebook. These were people that you had met in person already, or?
No. Marami sa kanila, hindi. Siguro sa 40 na team ko doon, only 5 people ang kilala ko talaga.
And so you met them only through social media.
Yes.
And you were able to form such a huge organization already.
That's it. The main point na lagi ko sinasabi pagdating through that post, may screen cap ako na when I share it, you can always use social media for social good. Diba? Especially during that time in 2016. The atmosphere here in the Philippines was very divisive after the elections, diba? So, sobrang toxic. So, parang deep inside, there was this calling na why not challenge this narrative online of negative feeling online with a positive one, diba? A unifying one, which is the SDGs. Kasi diba, who would say no for the SDGs? It's a global goal to transform the world. So, ayun, parang yun yung naging approach namin that time.
And since you have so many organizations, you have also your own business, what does a normal day look like for you?
Well, on a weekend, on a weekday, every morning, ideally, I need to wake up at 5 or 4:30 a.m.
4:30 a.m.
I need to be at the studio. The latest is 6 a.m.
Okay.
The show will air at 7 a.m. That's 7 to 8. Thus, I have new shows right now. So with Sulong Pilipinas, that's with the Department of Finance. We need to travel from PTV4 in Quezon City to Manila. Right after the show, usually traffic so 2 hours travel. Imagine QC to Manila ng 2 hours. Parang nag-ilo-ilo na rin ako, mas mabilis pa. Pero 2 hours to Manila, tapos mag-shoot ako whole day from 9 a.m. to usually 5 p.m. Tapos usually we shoot 2 episodes. May studio doon. Then the other show, usually twice or thrice a week, yung taping with Sulong Pilipinas. May other show is Tayo Na with DILG. Usually once a week shooting siya. Then 1 episode lang din siya. So yun yung from my TV side. Pero since Hatch Hub is here right now, we don't have can I talk about Hatch Hub? Yeah. So Hatch Hub, before we had a staff. Basically, their mandate was to look around and manage basically the registration of our users. Pero I realized na pwede palang trust system lang.
Honesty system.
Yeah, honesty system. So nag-install ako ng CCTV.
For the people who don't know what honesty system is, can you explain?
At least for Hatch Hub. So we have a restaurant in Quezon City and the co-working space is on the 2nd floor and 3rd floors. So the system is they just need to register at the restaurant downstairs and then they can use the space in the Hatch Hub until whatever they want, until what time. Tapos nun, they just need to go down, sign out, and pay. Hopefully, they pay. Diba? So far, only one yung nakalimot. Sana nakalimot. Hindi intentional na hindi nagbayad. So, ayun. So far, it's working. And just to be sure, I installed the CCTVs then so I can see whatever's happening in Hatch Hub through my phone. Ayun. So, happy naman na may ganung technology na.
And people have not taken advantage of your generosity or your trust.
Yeah, so far. And it's really I'm happy with that kind of Kasi I'm also building a community of hatchers at least in my street na sana may ganung klaseng concept na mabuo in this time na sobrang ang daming mandurugas, di ba?
But Hatch Hub is a business, right? And a business.
I consider it actually as a social enterprise.
Okay, what's a social enterprise?
A social enterprise is a fusion of business ideas and strategies in the fusion of civil society concepts, meaning you try to use your business as a solution to basic community problems. I mean, Hatch Hub isn't really directly solving a community problem, but we're providing a platform for youth groups to think of solutions. So basically, we're a platform where they can meet.
Okay.
Ganon.
But doesn't that seem like an oxymoron? Because like when people think of business, they think profit-oriented all the time.
Yes,
but now you're telling me that it's also helping the community and all that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a contradiction, kumbaga. Kasi profit-oriented, it's mostly selfish.
That's right. Social enterprise is relatively a new concept in the industry. But as an activist, as an advocate, we also need to accept that advocacies or your passion wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't suffice. It wouldn't fly with no financial resources. You need the funds you need to generate funds para mas umingay yung advocacy mo. So, yeah, marami akong mga nakilala ng mga founders ng mga social enterprises and ingrained yung advocacy nila pero laging merong financial part. Kasi kung wala yung financial part na yun, hindi mag-sustainable. Yeah, it wouldn't be sustained. Hindi siya mag-scale up. So, kailangan meron talagang element ng funds.
But how do you manage your time then, given that you have so many responsibilities?
I'm also taking my MA right now.
Oh yeah, you're also in school. Yeah,
so minsan nakakabaliw. Nakakabaliw minsan. Pero usually, I list everything. I have my to-do list for the whole year. So nakikita ko na yun. Tapos I have my checklist lahat. Pero kapag hindi na talaga kaya, I delegate. Kunwari, I have like per month at least 10 speaking engagements. Tapos I have hostings din. Several hostings. Hostings. So kapag hindi kaya talaga, I delegate. Could you represent our organization for this? Sila na bahala. Even for hostings, marami akong mga hostings na good pay din. Pero I need two-way. Ano yung pipiliin ko? Do I show up in this speaking engagement or doon ako sa hosting ko? So titingnan ko yung gravity ng kung saan ako mas magbe-benefit sa organization ko.
Just to give a little background, Jules you were in Malaysia yesterday.
I was.
You were in Malaysia yesterday. Your flight was delayed. Mm-hmm. And so you missed your flight going to Iloilo. Mm-hmm. So we had to get you another flight to come here. And then you spend less than 24 hours here. Mm-hmm. And then you have to go back again to Manila. Because you have to go back to your day job and all your other responsibilities. So that seems like a very jet setter, but at the same time, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting, but I like traveling. So, nag-enjoy ako pag marami akong nakakausap ng mga tao. Kasi with traveling, I learn a lot, not only with their culture, pero their best practices. In Malaysia, may nakita akong malaking co-working space. It's really inspiring na it's called Magic. It's a huge group in Malaysia. They upscale social enterprises and they have it's like a gymnasium. Tapos they transformed it into a huge co-working space. Ayun, so I talked to the managers of the place, then I learned their system. And right now, here in Iloilo, di ba? We're in Ubra. Yeah. It's a co-working space. So I'm getting ideas as well to develop my co-working space. Ayun, traveling could be very exhausting and frustrating as well. Ang dami ko ng times na nawala yung baggage ko or dumating yung baggage ko before ako umalis. Like in Germany, last May, I was in Germany. Nag-pitch ako for an award for Youth Force where we won, fortunately. Pero lahat ng damit ko, nandun sa luggage ko. Pero dumating sa akin, hours before I left Germany. So, I was wearing the same thing for 3 days. Buti na lang malamig. Yan, I mean, ano siya, nakakapagod pero masaya eh. Masaya mag-travel.
So even with all of the things that you do, it doesn't seem as exhausting because you love what you do. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and fortunately, I have a very understanding employer, just PT before. Kasi imagine, di ba, if I'm in other networks, would they allow me to travel at least once a quarter or twice a quarter? They always say na, sige, just do what you do and provide stories na lang after. So, I'm really happy na very supportive sila.
Okay, so we're gonna talk more about PTV4 and the media industry after the break. So, Jules, how do you like your coffee?
This one?
Yes.
Sarap. Walang creamer or anything. Feeling ko gising na ako.
Just coffee lang black.
Yep.
I like my coffee with Iloilo's best ensaymada.
Really?
Iloilo's best ensaymada is Blue Jays ensaymada. Would you like to try?
Sure.
Okay. Can we get some Blue Jays ensaymada?
Thank you.
It's also, it's creamy, it's cheesy. Try it.
Sige. Malambot. Masarap. Ano masarap sa Ilonggo?
Namit.
Namit.
Oh, namit gid.
Alam ko, lami kaayo, Bisaya. Bisaya yun, di ba? Lami kaayo.
Okay.
Namit gid.
So next time you come back here,
Sarap.
you should find the Blue Jay for ensaymada. So we're back here at Coffeenated with Jules Guiang as our guest. Jules, you work in the media industry. You're a host, right?
Mm-hmm.
What have been the challenges that you have faced in terms of being a media man?
Yeah. Number one, the transition from being a UP student to government media practitioner. So there's a drastic change of perspectives and biases as well. I maintain personally my principles, especially in my advocacy life. But on air, on camera, of course, I need to play the game.
Mm.
But I make sure that I ask the right questions. I make sure that I'm not mouthpiece of anyone. Ayun, so that's always my basic reminders to myself every day when I go on air. And what else? Maraming pressures din and mga opportunities. Pero I need to be very wise about it kung maapektuhan ba yung credibility ko as a media practitioner. Kasi there were several offers just to show their stories. Pero, syempre, it's wrong. Diba? Kasi just to show their side, parang you don't need to pay me naman.
Yeah.
The PTV is paying me already. So, obviously, may ibang agenda for that. What else? Ayun, may yun din. Yung another challenge is yung nabanggit ko kanina, how to balance my image as a media practitioner and my image as someone on social media.
As a youth leader.
Yes, kasi yun nga isang tao lang ba yun? Ibang tao ba ako sa TV? Ibang tao ba ako sa social media? Or nagta-transform ba siya? Yun yung mga challenges ko.
But you talked about playing the game earlier because I think that's important, especially for young people who are joining a company, right? That they have to play politics actually.
Yes, true.
So, like, in terms of the workspace, do you think na all workspaces inherently have political issues?
Yeah, anywhere naman talagang politics is everywhere. So, kailangan, you need to observe first kung paano yung system. And ako kasi, ang personality ko, hindi lang ako magiging part nung system. Kailangan, ang challenge ko sa sarili ko is to be part of the system, pero nandun ako system para may baguhin na may ayusin. Yun lagi yung personal goal ko pag pumapasok sa organization. So, yun yung ginawa ko for the past 7 years. Pero in any place kasi meron talaga. So, you need to observe, tapos you need to ask yourself kung ano yung pinaka-end goal mo in the organization. Are you there to maintain and sustain your survival sa job mo? Gusto mo ba tahimik ka lang dyan? Pasok ka, check in, check out, ganun lang yan every day? Or meron kang gustong contribution? So you need to know then your goals once you enter an institution or organization.
So this is how you navigate how you play the game. It's really, what are you looking for in the company that you're within?
Yes.
So, given that now, what is your end goal with PTV really?
My end goal with PTV is to be part of the station at most 10 years. It's my 7th year right now. So, my end goal is to transform the mindset at least of people na we're not there as mouthpiece of the government. We're there to serve the entire public, di ba? And our audience, hindi lang naman sila yung bumoto sa current administration. It's for everyone. So, yun lagi naming, yung sinusubukan kong i-relay na message. Lalo na even for veteran media practitioners namin. Kasi usually, lahat ng veteran media practitioners namin, sila yung mga supporters talaga nung administration. So, at least from my shows, yun yung pinaka-gusto kong mangyari.
Okay. Now, since you've been in the media and now you have a co-working space, what do you think of Ubra, for example? Like things like this sprouting up more and more all over the country. Like, why is there so many co-working spaces? There are so many co-working spaces now.
I think it's the beauty of collaboration. Diba? Kasi when you're in a co-working space, you get to be exposed to different people working for their stuff, for their work. They study, they meet for their organization, several events like right now, di ba? Daming events nangyari sa Ubra. So, magandang point siya na even in other cities around the Philippines, lumalaki na yung presence ng mga co-working space. Hopefully, mas lumaki pa yung clientele ng co-working spaces. Okay. Kasi, yun na may pinaka-challenge sa co-working space eh. Parang, meron bang darating today? Meron bang paano kikita yung co-working space for this day? Kasi usually naman, space talaga yung, yung point ng pagkita ng bawat co-working.
Okay. But you work in Manila, right? Your PTV is more national in scope.
Yes.
What do you feel about the media industry here in Iloilo, for example, or in Western Visayas?
Well, at least from Daily Guardian, maganda siya kasi na-innovate ninyo yung platform ng news dito sa Western Visayas kasi ang strong na ng presence sa social media and hindi lang regional issues, concerns yung na-feature nyo, may national scope din. Kaya nakikita ko tumataas yung traction nyo, di ba? Since nag-rebrand kayo, which is very refreshing din. Kasi right now, the only popular mainstream online portals, platforms are Rappler, Inquirer, etc. Pero coming from the community mismo, yun yung nakikita kong edge which is good. And sana other provinces will do the same. Kasi iba yung ambag mismo kapag merong from the province Diba? Kumbaga parang may bottom-up approach yung dating. So parang, tawag nito parang bibingka level. Meron sa taas, meron sa baba. Tapos mag-meet halfway.
Okay.
Which is good. Kasi you're giving the audience more options, more perspective.
Yes. And the importance really is that when you try to innovate, there's a certain sense of contentment with the old guard. Mm-hmm. So like with social media now, how has it affected you, for example, in your media practice? Especially since like, does it show on TV? Like, are your ratings falling? Are people just gravitating more towards social media because it's more accessible? You don't need a television?
Well, from the side of PTV4, well, number one, we don't care about the ratings. Okay. Kasi so long as there is government, there is PTV. Pero for the other networks, ang narinig ko sa mga friends ko from ABS or GMA, nag-invest na sila millions of pesos for digital. Kasi it's true like I do not watch TV anymore.
I don't watch TV anymore.
Diba? It's all on the phone So talagang networks right now are investing kasi siguro I like to assume in 10 years baka hindi ko alam kung ano na maging role ng television mismo, which is also scary. Kasi mas magiging individualistic na talaga yung mga tao. Kasi at least with TV, you watch it with your friends or anyone. Pero right now, with smartphone, it's just you. Diba? Pero yun yung ginagawa ng mga ngayon, ng mga mainstream networks. Like millions of pesos they invest for digital.
Okay. So, Jules, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming here in Iloilo. I know you are very tired. And so, this has been Coffeenated, Daily Gardens podcast, in partnership with Ubra Shared Space and Cafe Lounge. We'll catch you next time with our next guest and our next cup of coffee. This has been Coffeenated, Daily Gardens podcast in partnership with Ubra Shared Space and Cafe Lounge. This episode was shot in their boardroom. This episode is produced by Prometheus Enterprises. Special thanks to Creative Flutter.